terrible. More stuff. Starting to pick up less now. Still some stuff that's coming up. Folks, so today we're going to take a look here at the Meguiar's clay kit, and this has been around since probably at least the 90s, I think. I've used it off and on over the decades for clay barring my car, and in recent years I've been using Meguiar's Garage clay bar kit, which does a fantastic job. And so I'm always testing products though, and it had been a while since I used this, so I thought I'd go ahead and get one of these. We'll go ahead and get it unboxed. We'll talk about it real quick with what's in the box. Then we'll get to working on a car here and giving it a good going over with the clay, and we'll see how it performs, and we'll do a final wrap up. Why would you clay bar a car, and what is that all about if you don't know? Well, the whole thing with clay here is that if you run your hand over the surface of the car and you feel like almost like a little sandpapery feel or different things that are embedded in the paint, a lot of times washing the car will not get a lot of that stuff out that has been embedded into the paint there. Could be contaminants like tree sap, iron fillings from brakes, all sorts of stuff. And so the cool thing with clay is that before you wax or polish the car or anything like that, getting all that stuff out of the paint is always a good thing, and it will restore that surface back to a nice, clean, smooth surface. So here in the box, they've got the quick detailer. As I recall back in the day, I think Meguiar's is one of the first companies to come up with a quick detailer type product, as I recall. And so I've used this off and on, probably going back to the 90s, and it works great as I remember. It has been a while since I've used it though. And then also too, they give you two nice microfiber towels in the box, so that's good. They seem to be of a pretty decent quality with our towels there, and then you get your 3 clay bars. Now, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead, we have our test subject here that is ready to go, and we're going to go ahead and get started doing some clay barring on it, and let's get to it. So folks, let's kind of take a look at an example here of what we're kind of looking for, and I can kind of see with this light as I go through it. It's kind of probably hard to pick up on camera, but there are different specks I can actually see in the paint. But as I run my hand over, like up here, and this is kind of relatively common with cars, when you're up a bit higher, obviously they're not going to get as much dirt or whatever a lot of times. And it depends. Now, if there's tree sap and stuff, that could be a different deal. But up here, it's generally a lot smoother. But definitely as I come down here behind the wheel well, and you can all listen for my hand kind of dragging on the paint here. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it's almost like a sandpapery feel, especially as I start to get a bit lower there. I can kind of feel all this this gritty stuff embedded in the paint there. So that's what we're looking to remove with the clay bar and get all this all nice and smoothed out. So whenever we clay bar, of course, we need some sort of lubricant to get this done. So I'm just using the quick detailer that came in the kit, and we'll go ahead and just get started with this panel right here, which is probably going to be one of the worst panels, I think. And then basically we're just going to take it and I can actually hear some of the gritty stuff right there. We're just going to work in a circular motion. So initially when I put the clay on it, I can kind of hear a lot of that crud. And look at what we already brought up right there. Terrible. And yeah, this car just got a good wash. So then whenever you get to that point where you start seeing stuff like that, just fold it back in and then kind of maybe spread it back out a little bit there, and then we'll go ahead and keep going. I can still hear stuff in the paint, and if you need more lubrication, just add more lubrication. Let's see what we get now. Look at all that. So picking up more crud there. And keep in mind with this, I gave this a good washing because I knew I was going to clay bar it and everything. So I went ahead and, went over it real nice and real slow whenever I washed it. So I made a deliberate attempt to get as much dirt as I could get off with the car wash. So definitely a bit of grit there, ground in, but it's not a surprise because it's right behind the wheel well. So, I'd imagine usually this is one of the worst places. And we got more grit coming out there. So yeah, so this is the thing also too to watch for whenever you're doing your clay bar is just watching for the amount of dirt that you pick up in the clay bar, because at some point the clay bar will probably get to a point where it's just going to accumulate too much stuff, and then you'll go, okay, well, it's way too dirty, and so now I need to go ahead and chuck it out. So let's go ahead and wrap up here with our Meguiar's clay kit here, and what did we think? How did it turn out? The car is all complete here in the back. Surfaces had all the contamination pulled out of it, and I ended up going through 2 clay bars on this. This one here, it started to pick up a fair bit of grit and stuff in the clay, and it doesn't look too bad right now, but I went ahead and just opened up a second package and started working on the second bar. Just a call that I made with it. It just seemed like that first bar, I was just getting on parts of the car just tons and tons of stuff out of the paint. It was, fairly significant there. So switched to the second bar. And then in terms of the quick detailer here, I ended up using about half of the bottle. So I would say with this that you're probably looking at about, you could probably do with the whole kit here, maybe go over 2 cars with it, I would say. I would say that would be a reasonable kind of assumption to kind of take with this. In the end, it ended up working out pretty good. I haven't used this kit for a long time. I would say still my preferred clay is the Griot's Garage. However, that comes at the expense of that clay does kind of have a residue on your hands, or if you use nitrile gloves like I do, it's kind of sticks and kind of breaks up maybe a little bit more. This doesn't really have as much in the way of residue or anything that it leaves on your hands or anything like that. It's a little bit kind of not as pliable to work as the Griot's Garage, but I think for everyone out there, I mean, it works just fine. Like I said with this car, so that's kind of just maybe a little nitpicking, really kind of comparing products, but in the end, I mean, this did everything it was supposed to do, and it worked out just fine. So yeah, I would say 2 cars is what to kind of maybe expect out of it. Also, too, don't worry about what I would say is, especially if you're really taking it seriously and you are concerned about any sort of grit getting put back in your paint or anything like that, like I did with this first bar, where I had picked up so much contamination, it's like, hey, I'm not even going to risk it. I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the second bar. And so you have to look at your clay as a little bit expendable there, where if it does start to pick up too much stuff, don't be shy about just going ahead and saying, okay, you've served me well, thank you very much, moving on to the next one, and so on and so forth. So anyways, and yeah, you just kind of monitor it in terms of, a lot of times I'll do cars where there's not a lot of contamination, and so I can use the clay and reuse it several times. And there's other times where there's significant contamination in the paint, and it's just not gonna last. So feel free to kind of ditch it and move to the next bar. But in the end, folks, worked out real good. Definitely check this out, and put this in your consideration if you're looking for a clay kit. And y'all have a good day.